Now it's time for another Board Game Brawl preview with Nick Meanahan, sponsored by BoardGameBliss.com. Hey folks, today we're going to be taking a look at a game that is currently seeking funding on Kickstarter. That game is called Iron League Black Stadium, and it's from Juegorama Games. Now, if you like what you see throughout the rest of this preview video, I'm going to encourage you to go to the official Kickstarter project page. There will be a link up in the top corner of your screen, as well as down in the description section underneath this video. Those links will take you to the page. You can find out more information than I could possibly tell you here, and hopefully you'll consider backing the project. Now, you might remember that I actually did a preview for the original Iron League quite a while ago, so a year or two ago, when this is like a big, even more upgraded version of that one, like fully tricked out with tons more stuff in it. And if you don't remember my preview of Iron League, essentially in the future, you and the other players are taking control of these giant mechs called irons. Which in the game are miniatures, but they're very easily assembled miniatures that you can assemble on the fly and actually add parts onto. You add weapons and shields and different types of stuff onto each of the different ones, and you have different teams of mechs. Now in the new, irons, in the new version of the game, not only do you have that, but you have other ground forces as well. You have warriors and mechanics and even mercenaries who are going to help you out, and they'll be moving around the battlefield together with your irons. And you have unique pilots for all the different irons as well, with their own special abilities. That's on top of ground hazards too, like exploding barrels and fire boxes that are going to be put out there, and then walls for defensive measures for your ground troops as well. And there's lots more, including multiple different game modes. So, let me go ahead and give you a brief look at the game with a prototype version of the game. So what you see here may change in the final version, and I can't go over every single detail of the game because there's a lot of stuff here, but I'm just going to give you a taste of what's there, and you can go to the Kickstarter page and find out more for yourself. So let's go ahead and take a look, then we're going to come back, we'll discuss it further. Iron League Black Stadium is a tactical miniatures game with 4 different modes of play: Match, Deathmatch, Arena, and Co-op. Each mode has its own rules and goals, with certain components being used in each mode. Let's go over the components first. The centerpieces of the game are the irons, giant mechs that the players will be piloting. There are 4 teams in different colors, and each team has 3 numbered irons. The irons come in pieces, but they easily connect together, and during the game they will get different weapons and accessories which attach very easily. Each team also gets 3 claw warriors, 1 Zimin warrior, and 1 mechanic. Typically, only pilots can operate the irons, but warriors can operate them as well by giving up their abilities. There are also 4 mercenaries: Leah and Lola, Zach Bomb Bomb Harker, and Leo Rebel Samson. There are also miniatures representing terrain and hazards like plasma balls, wall segments, fires, and barrels. There are many, many other components in the game, like tokens of all kinds, a scoreboard, and several decks of cards, including character cards, pilot cards, which are placed onto your iron sheets, where you keep track of your iron stats, character cards, action cards, and cooperative and team cards, only used in certain modes. During the game, you'll also take damage, either light or severe, and have to draw cards to represent what happens to your iron. The easiest way to explain the game is just to give you a brief overview of each mode. But first, you'll need to set up the board regardless of what you do. There are actually 2 boards, and for any game mode requiring 3 or 4 players, you'll need to use both of them. But for 1 or 2 players or cooperative mode, you can use 1 board, as I have here. Irons and your small units will start off in the starting zone on one side of the board. The boards can also have terrain. Walls provide defense to the smaller units and can be destroyed. The barrels contain gasoline, and they're dangerous. They can be thrown and explode, dealing damage, and they can also cause other barrels to explode. Even worse, fire hazards that are on the board can also cause them to explode. Each mode has a different goal. In matches, you and the opposing teams are trying to get the plasma ball into your opponent's black hole, while also trying to deal as much damage to the opposing team as possible. In deathmatch, it's simple destruction. Take out your opponent's forces and be the last one left standing, without points being counted. Arena mode is a bit like Capture the Flag, wherein you need to destroy your opponent's black holes, grab their plasma ball, and drag it back to your starting zone. Finally, in cooperative mode, the cooperating players have to survive waves of enemies that are trying to destroy everyone. There are 2 sets of dice in this game. The white dice give you attack points, defense points, and, when applicable, can let you steal the plasma ball. The red dice are what you roll for damage, either forcing the irons to take damage cards or dealing life damage to warriors. You can also potentially damage pilots. The game goes through a sequence of activating your irons and warriors turn by turn. You'll gain and use action cards, acquire new equipment by using scraps, and even hire mercenaries by using the red target zones. It's also possible for a referee to appear during the game, triggered by certain actions, like a pilot getting killed. He'll take actions against certain units, but he can even be bribed. The final version of the referee will have its own miniature as well, as I've pictured here. There is much more to Iron League Black Stadium than I can possibly get into here, but hopefully that gives you just a taste of what you're in for. And please go to the official Kickstarter project page to find out even more. Now, let's get to my final thoughts. Well, obviously, Iron League Black Stadium has a lot going for it. I mean, right off the bat, you have the components, because you have these giant robots that you take control of, that you can swap out parts on, add different equipment to them, which not only is it a physical element of the game that's appealing to the eye, but also adds a thematic element to the game. So as you lose equipment, you take it off. As you add equipment and buy with scrap, you're going to put more equipment onto your irons as well. So it just adds a neat element to the game. But now, that alone was already in the original edition of Iron League. But now you have these ground forces that are all different. You have the mechanic, you have the mercenaries, you have the claws, and you can start off with them, and depending on the game mode, but then you have the cooperative mode where you actually be fighting against them. So that's a really interesting element to the mix. Adds tons more of value to the gameplay, because now you're taking control of all these different types of forces. And there's hazard elements that go part and parcel with that too. So now your ground forces can hide behind cover, which can be destroyed though, so it's not going to last forever. That's on top of exploding barrels, fire hazards, and all these different sorts of things. There's a referee who will have to come out when certain events happen during the course of the game, and you can bribe him. So that's another thematic element that's in the game too. And I didn't have it for the preview copy, but the final version, as I showed in the preview segment, will have a giant miniature all of its own. So again, adding from the physical element, adding on to the theme. It's neat how you can bribe mercenaries during the course of the game, or hire them in order to come out and help you. Your pilots have different special abilities that will help you out during the game. And also, it has to be said, the fact that you have multiple different game modes. So you can play the game fully cooperatively, you can play it either free-for-all, or if you're playing a 2-player game, one-on-one, total destruction, or you can make it sort of a sports match where you're trying to get the plasma ball into your opponent's black hole, the hoop essentially, or you can do a mix of it where you're trying to take out their black holes and do sort of a king of the hill or capture the flag type thing. So there's so much you can do with the system, lots and lots of variety and lots of bits and pieces and things. It's a very straightforward game depending on the mode that you play, but there's so many different aspects of the game that for a competitive miniatures gamer, someone who wants something with a lot of complexity to it, you can find that here, but you can also choose an easier mode to play with people who are newer to this type of genre. So if any of that appeals to you, if you're a hobby miniaturist and want something a little bit different, if you're just a casual gamer who likes the idea of like arena deathmatch type games, maybe you're a video gamer and you want something that's more that can cater to you and isn't too over your head as soon as you jump into it, then definitely check out Iron League Black Stadium. This is the time to jump on that. So go to the official Kickstarter project page. There will be a link in the top corner of your screen, as well as down in the description section underneath this video. They actually have early bird specials if you get there fast enough. I think there's another 24 hours at the time that this posts. Go there, find out more information than I could possibly tell you here, and hopefully consider backing the project. That is Iron League Black Stadium from Juegorama Games. Thank you so much for watching and for supporting our sponsors. Take care. Thanks for watching. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Patreon. And make sure to check out our sponsor, Board Game Bliss, where you can find an amazing selection of games from around the world. BoardGameBliss.com. Thanks for your support.